So hi, welcome. My name is Natalia. I hope you're having a very good day today. And this is videos about regard to the continued questions of what is tarot to you that may raise it. So I know I'm late for this party, but I wanted to do that, and it was a very good excuse to do a tarot video. So I hope you enjoy this. And the first question is, what is tarot to you? Tarot to me is about symbols and connection and communication with the inner self. And I wanted to show you a tarot deck when I was doing that with like everybody did, but I didn't have the the way to do it. So I need to buy that, but I didn't do it today, so I'm sorry. And to me, it's a way to connect with your inner self, with spirit, and with something that is more universal and timeless. Is a way of seeing the world. Like you can find the symbols in the tarot decks in everywhere, and it makes you to read, to see things in a different light, especially about stories. I love stories. I am a storyteller. I My work is to tell stories, to read stories, to make people write stories. I teach stories to kids, to teenagers, to grown-up people, and I love to tell them stories. And I use even cards to make people write the stories, and it's a very creative and magical way. I think I'm going to do a video about a deck that is a mirror deck. It's a deck that is actually thinking it was for kids. It's a deck about someone make a deck that is you can change the cards and create a different kind of stories, and the idea is to be able to write a story about the cards that you have. So to me, symbols is a way to see the world, to interpret the world. To me especially, is about a way to tell the world, to know the world, to create a new way to see it, to is when you read with tarot for you, for another person, you are creating stories again. You are being an artist in a way, because you are in the process of creation. Even when you are using a deck that you know, and you know the positions, or maybe you know the meanings of the cards, and you are not creating them, the way you interpret the cards and the way you talk about them, and or the way you see them, is always a new way. So you are creating, and I think sometimes we forgot about that part, about the uh, diastasis part of what tarot really is. So that is what tarot is for me. Do you read for yourself, for others? I read for myself. I don't have problems with that. I read for others too. I I think it's a very different thing. You can know everything about tarot, but if you never you read for someone else, it's like you are having a gift in a way that you're not using it. I don't think it's always a way. I don't believe in gifts actually. But you have a tool that is a very beautiful tool, and you can teach other people to how to use it, and you are not using it, and you can help people sometimes with it, sometimes not. But I believe that it's a different thing, and you can know yourself a little better when you are reading for others too. Do you read? No. With what frequency do you read tarot for yourself? I have times I sometimes take breaks. I did it. I take breaks in some moments. I using tarot every week now right now, especially Mondays. Today I didn't use it, but sometimes I use the cards to know what is the energy of the week, what is the energy of the moment, or what I can learn about some situations, or what is the best energy I can add to something, or how is the archetype I can. Um, I mean, like possess in that in one moment to really do the situation of one problem better. What is the energy I can have to make something? If I need to do a change, I will use maybe an archetype to think. Okay, maybe I can see something different from this situation if I use the hermit energy or the empress energy, and it can help. The other day was the 21 of September, and it was the spring day here, the first spring day here, and I was very tired, and I took a card to know how I can improve the day, and the empress was there, and it was great because it really helped me to know how to process the day, to make the day more kind and nice day for everybody around me and to myself too. So, with what frequency do you? No, I'm sorry about. I'm reading again the same questions. What types of reading do you do? How? I read in different. I don't have I have the readings, like I tend to use the three cards reading very easily. Sometimes I take only one card to know the day, but I when I want to know very big reading for something or someone, I will use sometimes the astrological is more for me. I use one deck specifically, and I use the deck to know how the planets. I do the astrological wheel, and I see how the planets are in that moment, and to know the energy in the moment. I know I can find in every app in what is there, but I love to see the wheel to understand how the energy is fluctuating in that moment. And sometimes I do that with people, and sometimes I do a more specifical. Sometimes I do a tree. I love to do a tree because it makes me to see if, the situation in different perspectives. I think that sometimes you need to do a reading when someone wants something in general or want to know more about themselves in a very general way. But if someone wants to know something in a specific, I think you can have a very big reading. Sometimes helps me, sometimes doesn't, and and I think sometimes with some questions just need a three questions read three cards reading. But is I think everybody's different about that, and I like to see or to the different approach because we are learning and every day, and what works for me with some people sometimes it doesn't for others, and I don't really do big readings for myself normally. Regarding what types of things do you typically consult tarot? I question tarot for everything. I don't do it like my race did for know how when I'm going to die. But I because I don't want to know that. But I don't think it's something wrong to question things, especially when you need or you feel that you want an answer. I don't like the concept of right or wrong about that kind of approach to situation. Maybe in general life, I'm more always in a gray area. I'm not the person that is going to say to you, oh, this was very wrong, or you have to do this in this way because I do it in that way. No, I think I love when people approach to something that I like in different way. I can learn from that, and I do it in a premonitory way sometimes. I don't like to read like with the normal. Sometimes I'm not used to much playing cards because I don't. Even when people sometimes love the practicality of the cards or the answers that these cards can have, I need something more. So it's not really for me. But I really understand when someone just wants to know if the card they want to buy is good or no. Sometimes playing cards can work better for that if something, but it's not for me. I need more. I need more information. I need to understand more about that kind of things. But I did that kind of question in more than one time in my life, and I'm glad that I did it. So, and I don't believe that tarot cannot be premonitorial. I think that is, I mean, I'm the other day I was hearing Pamela Atkins. I don't know if people know it, who she is, but her mother did the Tower of the Spirit, and it's amazing deck that I love. I was hearing she saying something that I think is beautiful. It's like you had 22 paths, and you learn from them, and you know them, but in life, that is even when you know the path, it's not like it's going to work like in okay, you have the fool and then you have the magic. No, it's not working that way. Sometimes you are in the fool, and sometimes in the next moment you are in the lovers, and things are changing all the time, and it's not like it's going to be in a chronological order, or even have the typical order that the tree of life can have. But that doesn't mean that when you know tarot, when you know what is going, you can see the situation in a different way, because you know in what situation you are, so you can make the situation uh, works different. You can change things when you know what is going on, really. What is going okay, this is a tower. Okay, what I have to do with a tower card in this moment of my life? So I nowadays wanted everyone in any moment to have the tower in their lives, but sometimes happen, and you have a different kind of soul, and it can really help you to use it in a way. I don't try to convince to someone that tarot in a premonitory way can really be helpful. Sometimes people just need to use it in a therapeutical way. I do it too, and it's okay. How will you classify yourself as a reader? Book meanings, experiential, figurative, sorry, literal, or whatever. I think I love book meanings, but when I read in a reading, I know the book meanings, but the book meanings are not enough for me. If that was the case, I think I will use an app in that I can find in any place, or just look the meaning of the card, and yeah, it's over. But I think tarot is very personal, and that is the best part of it. So I like to experiment with the meanings and change sometimes the idea or concept, or sometimes works better for me if I use my imagination or my intuition with the readings. But I don't think I cannot learn what I learn. And then actually, I love to read books about. I don't like to read books specifically about tarot. I don't like to read the meanings of the cards, something like that. But I like to know about the archetypes. I like to read the archetypes of Carl Jung. I like to learn more about archetypes in all ways. I always learn or I'm trying to search information about different kind of symbols, different kind of cultures, and how they connect with the spirit in different ways. So to me is just no one thing, and it can be very deep if you want it. You are if even when you think you know everything, you never know. And what something, yes, it means some for you in a moment, it can change. So one card can mean, or you think that card means something in a moment in your life, and the way you see the card can change. It's like reading a book. Sometimes when I was a teenager, I read a book and I hate it, and when I was a more time pass, I change and I read the book again, and I love it. And sometimes can happen for even cards that you think, okay, this is a card I will never like, or I will never see this card in a different way. So that is not true, because we are growing, and learning is part of that process. And if you think that reading just a book, you know everything about tarot, I think you need to work with the cards, seeing the cards, knowing the cards, working with the decks, having that connection with it, and with the way you work in more and a magic and the way to see the cards. What types of questions do you ask tarot? Like I said before, I do whatever. And I question to tarot for every day, normally, or for a specific situation. Sorry. I use Oracle too. And then my favorite oracle is the first oracle of Rainfall. And when I want to, I use tech different. I use when I want to know very practical, meaningful a situation, very honest and cruel way. I will use the thought, even when I don't believe that thought is cruel. If I want a more in Kabbalistic tarot decks, a more kind, I will use the tarot of the spirit. But when I need a friend that is going to tell me, you are an asshole, you did this very wrong, I love Fairy Oracle. That is my deck for the moment. What question do you never ask tarot? I question tarot for whatever. I question for people. I question for people that I know, and sometimes situations I can change manners. I will question tarot for places, for the energy of some places, for a specific situation in general. I for a project, for whatever is in my life, but especially for people. And I will not think of myself badly because I question for people even when I don't have the permission to do it. I don't care. Sorry. Um who do you think you are engaging with, speaking with, when you read tarot? Tarot for me is a magic tool. So normally we think that is my inner self when I what is going in communication with me. That what I really believe that is my inner self or how a spirit works. It can I had to do a video very long to explain this. But I will say that to me I connected with the spirit sometimes when I with an specific spirit. Sometimes I call the spirit I want to talk. Sometimes I'm just asking for a specific energy. But I know that especially I will talk with myself and with the part of myself that is able to really see a situation in a different light that I will never be able to see it because I'm too busy trying to live a practical life every day. I think it's with my better self when who I'm talking really. Um, what other knowledge experience do you apply to tarot readings? Astrological, numerological, religion, mythology, psychology. I do astrological. I use Kabbalist concepts, and I'm sometimes use. I'm not very good with numerology. I know some, but it's not my best self anyway. Um, I think the most thing I use is my personal light, but sometimes I use much my specific culture to traditions and see the ways to see the world that I know is very different in other places. It's just because I have an age, I have a social situation, and I have a culture that defines me in a way. So yeah, and I love mythology, and yeah, so I don't know too much about anything, but I think that when you are doing a reading, you can you can separate yourself of what you know, like I said before. So it's going to be in that reading because you know it, and even when you can say, "Oh, I'm not going to use the astrological meanings or knowing about the that I know about this card." It's just there. Sometimes you use it, sometimes you don't need to use it. Sometimes you need the literal meaning of the card, but it can change. I think just more about the situation or the question that you are doing in that moment. So, tarot is a book of life. Where else in your world life do you witness tarot? Every day, every moment. Sometimes it's more easy to see, sometimes it's more difficult. Sometimes it's people, sometimes it's situations, sometimes it's just stories. I work so much with the stories, so I'm going to see the meanings of some cards and tales and that I read, books that I use, and sometimes in just one specific moment. Okay, this is just a five of wands or whatever, but of five, yeah, and is going to be there. And like I say, it can really be helpful sometimes, sometimes it doesn't, but you can not stop doing it. And when you are doing it, you are going to see it. And like I say before, tarot is timeless and universal. So the symbols are going to be there even in the street, sometimes in a wall, sometimes people can read it in the most strangest places. And you can find the meanings in moments that you were not expecting to find something like that. Um, that is just a part of a tarot really is to me. Have you experienced it where tarot has correctly predicted the future? How did you feel when it came to pass? I did. I was sometimes I predicted the future. Sometimes I knew things before the people talking to me. Um, Sometimes feels good. Sometimes it's weird. When you are doing, if you question a tarot deck to do something and you did it what the tarot deck tell you or told you, I'm sorry, and it just when with time this is confirmed, it's going to make you feel better if you really listened. But if you don't, if you didn't, it's going to be not something very good to feel. I did. I listened, and it was a relief, like thanks, because it was a very bad situation. If I didn't hear it, it was about I did it about some projects. So sometimes about that include money and about people. I will do it about people and what the intentions are or were, and it can help me to really understand the situation more. I don't use too much decks to read about something that is going to be too cool, but yeah, normally works. That will make me feel afraid to know the answer. That is what I was trying to say. If I am afraid to know the answer, if I think that maybe knowing the answer can be not helpful at all, I will not question tarot decks for that. But if I think, but it's very important to me take, I'm not a very good decision person. It takes me times. I go in for circles. I'm very lazy. I don't like to take decisions. That is one of the things I hate most. So I going to use a deck for that. It's not that I always going to hear the tarot for that, but it's going to help me if I do the question in a very meaningful way. Normally, it's more about what is going to happen if I do this, and what is going to happen if I do that. I would love to see more options and having more options about tarot. So, it's about a situation, sorry. And when I use a deck or a tarot reading, it's going to be with that purpose. About reading to someone else and having something to them or about some people. It doesn't feel so good like when you are doing for yourself, and it's a good thing, especially if it's not. Sometimes it's great when the answer is great, but if the situation is not nice or a bad situation for that person, it's never going to make you feel good to know the truth, to know the situation. If you can do anything, I like to the idea of having different options. If I do a question about a situation or something can happen, I will have the answer of an advice or different options. to manage the situation, to change. I like the idea that you can change what is going to happen because you are an active person, so you can have a power of decision, a power of making. I don't like the idea that you are just okay, the destiny is happening and you can do anything about it. No, I think you can change things and destiny, but you have to make the work. And sometimes people doesn't want to make the work. But if you listen very well, even sometimes you don't need a target. Sometimes if you see yourself and see the way you are acting and think, okay, this is if I continue doing this, this is what I is going to happen. Sometimes you cannot change uh, things in that way. You need to say to yourself, okay, what I can do different that to make this situation be different, to change this. I don't know anymore. I'm losing myself. Have you explained what? No, sorry. Oh, okay, I'm sorry for that. If you are a witch or magical practitioner, how, if I ever does tarot reading in your magical practice? I do magic. I don't do spells very often, but I do magic. In sometimes when you are practical magician, you don't really realize that you are doing magic because we are doing things that it had is like something that maybe your grandma did and your mother did and you grew up with this and you don't really realize that the reason because you're doing some things are because had a magical purpose and no a practical way. So sometimes I do things in every day that is more about that to protect myself, to calls different kind of energies, and it makes me feel sometimes it's about anxiety, magical and anxiety in feeling that you are able to control the situation or having some kind of power about something can be really helpful. The way you are connecting and the way with the spirits and the way you are trying to canalize an energy specifically to make something in your life that creates something in your life is not different to what you are doing with the person yourself. I cannot separate tarot and the way I use tarot to the rest of my magical purpose or my magical practice because it's part of my interpretation of life and magic. I use tarot in my altar. I use tarot to canalize some energy sometimes, or even to use some kind of energy situations. I have a card in my wallet. I have different approach to cards that is not only about reading or practical readings or just to know what is going to happen. I use decks to connect with the spirits. I use decks in just so many ways to create, to make food, to connect with myself and not only that, and sometimes even with in an astrological places. I say that I use the astrological wheel. That is for me a way to practice that is not really the normal way, and I always change it. Sometimes I will say that I use cards in that way. Maybe tomorrow I will create a different way. And to me, when you want to create or approach to a kind of energy, having the card that makes you feel that way, that makes you remember that energy, that intention, and see something every day can really help you. And yeah, so I think that was the last one. And this was a very long video. I know my accent was held and really held. And I'm sorry for that. And I was trying to do my best. And I'm sorry I read the questions like 20 times. But I'm very. I didn't do videos for a very long time. And I know that this doesn't. It's not an excuse. But I hope you can really understand. And please, if you want to say something to me in the comments about the way you approach the tarot, I would love to read it. And if you want to add something about what I said, if I remember something, if I know I didn't say everything, and I'm going to think, oh, I have to, maybe I will change my mind about something. I hope you can really. I will do maybe sometimes another video to. I think it would be nice to answer these questions again, maybe in 1 2 years, to see if something changed. So I hope you enjoy this, and thanks for watching. And I hope you see you soon again. Thanks. Bye.